Welcome to the PM Logic. In the previous videos, we explored the key concepts behind the project initiation and planning phases, where projects are defined, structured, and prepared for delivery. Today, we move into the execution phase, the stage where plans turns into the real work and strategy begins to translate into measurable outcomes. In this video, I'll explain what the execution phase truly looks like in the real world and how project managers coordinate leadership, governance, risk management, quality assurance, vendor collaboration, stakeholder expectations, and benefits protection while the project is in motion. If you want to understand project management beyond textbook and start thinking like a structured leader managing complex initiatives, this video is for you. Let's begin. Why execution phase is most visible and important phase? Execution is where strategy converts into measurable business outcomes. It is also where capital is deployed, reputations are tested, and leadership becomes visible. During initiation, you justify the investment. During planning, you structure the roadmap. But execution is where organization actually starts spending money. Teams are mobilized, deliverables are built, risks stop being theoretical and start becoming operational realities. The expectations of the stakeholders intensify and executive scrutiny increases. This is the phase where momentum either builds or slowly collapses under pressure. If you look at recent large scale digital transformation programs, whether it's a major bank modernizing its core systems or a government rolling out digital services, execution is where headlines are made, not during planning, not during initiation. Execution determines whether leadership confidence increases or erodes. And that's why execution is the most visible phase of the project lifecycle. Now that we understand why execution carries such visibility, let's talk about what actually happens during this phase. Execution is not doing tasks. That's a common misunderstanding. Execution is the disciplined leadership of people, process, and performance. During execution, you are directing and managing project work. You are building and developing the team. You are managing stakeholder engagement. You are assuring the quality. You are coordinating with vendors. You are implementing risk responses. You are delivering approved scope. And you are communicating the status and decisions continuously. Execution is controlled movement, not an activity noise. In real world, especially in large enterprises, execution has three dimensions. First is operational execution, which includes delivering the work itself. Second is behavioral execution, which includes leading people, resolving conflict, and maintaining morale. Third is the governance execution, which includes protecting accountability and ensuring alignment with the baselines. Elite project managers manage all three simultaneously. If you only focus on operational tasks and ignore behavioral dynamics, the team burns out. If you ignore governance, the scope and cost drift. If you ignore delivery mechanics, nothing moves. Execution is about balancing all three dimensions under pressure. Now let's narrow in on the core responsibilities of the project manager during execution. During execution, the project manager has three central responsibilities: lead the team, protect performance baselines and business commitments, and manage stakeholders in real time. Protecting baselines is not just about scope, schedule, and cost, it also includes quality, risk exposure, and trajectory of expected benefits. Execution protects enterprise value in motion. Let's take a current example. Many organizations are migrating workloads to cloud platform like Microsoft Azure or AWS. The business case might promise cost efficiency and scalability. During execution, the PM must ensure the scope does not expand uncontrolled, that migration timelines remain realistic, that vendor contracts align with milestones, and that security standards are preserved. Otherwise, the promised ROI erodes. Execution is where commitments become measurable. And speaking of the measurable, let's talk about the deliverables. Execution produces tangible outputs, for example, technical configurations, integrations, infrastructure setups, documentation, and tested components. But producing something is not the same as producing value. Every deliverable must map back to a requirement, support a business objective, and tie to an approved funding decision. If a deliverable cannot be tracked back to those anchors, it's an organizational waste. In large programs, I have seen teams produce impressive technical artifacts that were never used because they were not aligned to a business outcome. That's execution without alignment. Every deliverable must meet acceptance criteria, align with baseline commitments, and pass quality validation. Unvalidated deliverables create future rework, And rework is one of the most expensive form of waste in the project environments, which naturally bring us to quality management. Quality is not inspection at the end, it's embedded throughout execution. Quality assurance focus on process discipline. Are we following right standards? Are workflows compliant with policy? Are we adhering to the governance? And quality control focuses on output validation. Does this deliverable meet the requirement? Execution without quality assurance creates systematic defects, and execution without quality control creates reputational risks. Look at large public infrastructure projects globally. Many fail not because teams worked slowly, but because quality oversight was weak early on. Defects discovered late in the life cycle multiply costs. Mature organizations design quality into workflows. They do not rely on inspection to detect failure, they prevent it. Now let's talk about something even more complex than quality, which is people. Common pressure points in team and resource management include competing demands on shared resources, capabilities gaps that surface under delivery pressure, increasing burnouts risks as timeline compress, and cross-functional friction as priorities collide. Strong project managers enforce clarity through defined roles and accountability. They conduct structured check-ins, they address conflict early, they recognize performance, they escalate when necessary. People execute plans, not tools. Execution often exposes weak sponsorship, unclear governance, and poorly defined decision structures. A strong PM stabilizes all three. During periods of economic uncertainty, organizations often freeze budgets mid execution. That's when leadership matters the most. Execution is where emotional intelligence becomes as important as methodology. And while you are managing people, risks are evolving. Talking about the risk management, planning identify risks, however, execution activates responses. During execution, trigger conditions must be monitored continuously. Mitigation strategies must be implemented. Contingency reserve may be used when justified, and emerging risk must be logged and assessed. Execution maturity is measured by how early risks are escalated and not how well overruns are explained afterwards. Consider recent cybersecurity incidents in large enterprises. Often warning signs were present during the execution phases of technology rollouts. Signals were ignored or escalated too late. Common execution risk signals include schedule compression requests, sudden priority shifts, sponsor disengagement, increased informal communication channels, and declining documentation discipline. These are not small operational issues. They are leadership warning indicators. Not all risk originates internally. When external partners are involved, execution complexity increases significantly. If vendors are involved, execution must ensure contract compliance, milestone validation, service level adherence, deliverable acceptance, and performance transparency. Vendor underperformance is still project accountability. During global supply chain disruptions, many projects experience vendor delays. Mature execution environments did not simply blame suppliers, they activated contingency plans, renegotiated the terms, and rebaselined the schedules. Vendor governance during execution required discipline, transparency, and documentation integrity. As vendors operate and stakeholders engage, change pressure inevitably intensifies. And execution is where change discipline is truly tested. Every approved change consumes organizational capacity, just not budget. The sources of change include emerging stakeholder requests, regulatory updates occur, technical discoveries surface, and market conditions shift. The golden rule remains no change without impact analysis. The changes must be logged, the impact must be assessed, and the change must be formally approved and clearly communicated. Uncontrolled change erodes execution discipline. We have seen this in the digital product launches where feature kept expanding during execution. Scope creep quietly extended timelines, diluted focus, and reduced quality. Execution requires change control maturity. Beyond deliverable and scope, execution must protect something bigger. That is the benefits intended from the project delivery. Execution must continuously test the business case. Is the original value proposition still valid? Are assumptions holding? Has the environment shifted? Is ROI still defensible? During recent economic volatility, many transformation programs were paused because projected benefits no longer justified continued investment. Execution is not the blind momentum, it is a disciplined reassessment. Protecting benefits during execution ensures that the project remains strategically justified. Now let's acknowledge what often goes wrong in the execution phase. Micromanagement replaces leadership. Communication cadence weakens. Scope drifts. Warning signs are ignored. Teams burn out. Reporting become optimistic rather than transparent. And decision cycles slow down. Execution problems are usually leadership problems. And this is why high performance execution environments look different. Execution excellence requires clear priorities, transparent dashboards, fast decision loops, empowered teams, active sponsor engagement, visible risk tracking, and outcomes focus over activity. Execution is basically momentum management. Enterprise level maturity shows up in disciplined PMIS usage, clean read logs, structured status meetings, separation between reporting and escalation, and early transparency of bad news. Organizations that encourage early risk reporting build credibility. Those that suppress it leads to failure. Execution maturity builds long-term trust, which brings us to the execution mindset. Execution maturity evolves with perspective. The way a project manager thinks determines the level at which they operate. A junior PM asks, "Are tasks completed?" Whereas a senior PM asks, "Are we protecting value?" And an executive PM asks, "Is this still strategically justified?" Execution is not an activity, it's an outcome integrity. Integrity in execution builds executive trust. Execution also intersects with politics. For instance, competing priorities, budget shifts, leadership turnover, regulatory pressure, and market volatility create moving targets. A strong PM adapts without losing structural control. Execution requires emotional intelligence as much as process discipline. Now let's look into the key takeaways. Execution is where leadership is tested. It determines planning was realistic, values were protected, stakeholder trust you, and if sponsor will fund you again. Execution without discipline create chaos. Execution without leadership create burnout, and execution without visibility creates failure. Great project manager makes execution predictable, defensible, and repeatable. Before we close this chapter, let's test your project management thinking with a quick challenge. During project execution, imagine a new regulatory requirement suddenly impacts your project scope. What will be the best course of action in this scenario? Here are the options on my screen. Pause the video if you need a moment, choose your answer and drop it in the comments. Let's see how many of you think like a strategic project manager. Thank you for watching the complete video. If you are looking to build career in project management, transition into the field, prepare for PMP certification, or grow into more advanced roles in the project management industry, this channel is designed to help you. If you found this video useful, please subscribe to the PM Logic and share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what topics you would like me to cover in future videos. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video.